After all of the swatching I'd recently done on the inexpensive Canson XL paper, I wanted to up the game a bit. So I picked Fabriano Artistico 100% cotton paper for this session. And here are the featured Princeton brushes in a handy-dandy repurposed makeup organizer, purchased at TJ Maxx with a holiday gift card. I normally don't think of looking for art things at stores like that, but maybe I should. It was only a few weeks ago that I saw YouTuber Weblight Dreams share her Ross art haul. She has a lot of content featuring budget-friendly art finds, as well as unboxings and painting challenges. And I'll just say it, one of the reasons I watch is for her voice. She sounds like the sort of gal who wouldn't hoard the burnt umber at the local paint and sip. Going with Da Vinci's Aubergine here, these orange-handled brushes are from the Real Value series, which are available in sets only. I purchased this particular set on sale from the Artist and Craftsman supply several years ago, and they were my first decent brushes. Included were two flats, a 3/4 inch stroke, and a 1/2 inch wash. Also, three rounds, a 12, an 8, and a 2. Be aware, these are not particularly good. They're just decent. From what I gather, white Taklon bristles aren't ideal for watercolor, being more suited to acrylic. But since I paid less than $10 for all five, I feel it was a good deal. From this demonstration, you can see that these don't hold a lot of water. The Scratch Made Journal blog refers to this aspect as capacity, which makes total sense. But in watercolor world, I've more often heard it called thirst or thirstiness. So, using the lingo, these brushes are not very thirsty. Something I noticed, the branding on these Real Value brushes says Princeton Art and Brush Company. The Snap, Neptune, and Aqua Elite brushes just say Princeton. And the masthead on their website says Princeton Artist Brush Company. That has no bearing on anything. Just saying. By the way, Princeton has other lines of watercolor brushes, such as Heritage, Velvet Touch, and so on, but I don't have any of those. I can't speak to their products for other media, but it appears that nearly all of their watercolor brushes are synthetic, the exception being their genuine Kolinsky Siberia line. Look, I'm no brush expert. In the previous video, I got called out in a most polite manner when I falsely claimed an Aqua Elite stroke was a Da Vinci Casaneo flat. And the thing is, that's probably not the first or last time that'll happen. So, yes, definitely point out inaccuracies. I consider it a favor, because I don't want to have to change the name of the channel to The Wrong Watercolorist. There are plenty of YouTubers who have covered brushes in both selection and maintenance who are more knowledgeable than I am, so look in the description for links. If you only watch one, I recommend Paul Clark's. He covers the basics in like 10 minutes. This video is not sponsored in any way, and I'm open to other brands. I just happen to mostly have Princeton's. My experience with their products has been positive, and they're easily available here. The brushes I was using before I got these were some super cheap Royal Langnickels that were pretty worthless. I try not to judge an entire company on their worst offerings, but I didn't come across much in the way of either info or reviews. So Royal Langnickel has been off my radar for quite a while. Some other brands, which are popular and well reviewed, such as Silver Brush and Escoda, are beyond my price range. So I had put a bunch of Princetons on my wish list, and my collection has slowly grown over the past couple of years. Normally, I'm not a fan of the block form for watercolor paper, but for this session, it was so handy. I used an X-Acto knife to get this sheet started, but on the later ones, I simply grabbed the open corner and pulled. Easy peasy. Next are the snap brushes paired with M. Graham's Hooker's Green. That was a mouthful, sort of like Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. You just better hope I don't end up buying the M. Graham Company and making you all say, Irene's M. Graham's Hooker's Green. This was another good deal at the Artist and Craftsman Supply. They have a number of locations, but you can see what my nearest store looks like in the Kuretake Gansai Tambied video from last summer. There are a few minutes of the store interior where I refrained from fondling the merchandise, and producer Mike practiced found footage filmmaking. The sizes are 16, 10, 6, and 2, all round. I think these snaps are good brushes and a definite step up. I chose these four individually, and they came to about $18. As you can probably deduce, these snaps have somewhat springy bristles and are, on the whole, more enjoyable to use than the real values, and still quite affordable. This might sound odd, but I like the feel of them in my hand. I don't know what it is, but out of all of my brushes, these feel the best. I have no evidence to prove this, but I suspect the handles have extra layers of lacquer, making them slightly heavier. Prove me wrong. Plus, the crimps, those indents on the metal ferrules, are deeper than the ones on my other Princetons. No, none of them have fallen apart on me, but, as they say, you can't put a price on peace of mind. For maintenance, I currently use the Master's Brush Cleaner. I used to just use hand soap, and that did the job, but I feel better using something specifically meant for brushes. Plus, call me weird, but I kind of like the smell. The one I have is the 1/4 ounce size, because I was trying it out, but I've added a larger size to my wish list. I believe stiffer bristles allow for more control, which is one reason why these snap brushes are a good choice for beginners. And I kinda didn't want to stop playing with them. That's the size 6 there. Yeah, I'm into my brushes, but I'm not so far gone that I obsess over them. And although I've definitely experienced brush envy, I have yet to purchase a hand-stitched brush roll from Etsy. There's the size 2 round. The first I'd heard of these was on Emma LaFave's channel. As far as I know, these are the only brushes she uses, and after seeing some of her work, I wanted to try them. I'm glad my niece was with me when I bought these. I almost grabbed the 20, but she suggested the 16 instead. Thank goodness, because that was plenty big for my purposes at the time. And I have her to thank for jump-starting my renewed interest in art. If she hadn't asked me over to paint with her, I'd still be playing Hearthstone and stitching zombie felties. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I can only hang so many undead ornaments on my Halloween tree before the thing starts to tip over. And there's my snap collection lineup, largest to smallest, from left to right: 16, 10, 6, and 2. Some people might look at those once white bristles and feel sad, but I consider a well stained brush as one of the painter's little pleasures. I like to handle brushes a lot, and it's not a problem unless it gets to the point where 3 out of 5 videos are about brushes. So I've got it under control. Using Holbein's Prussian blue, we start off the Neptune series with the 3/4 inch square wash. If you've visited Princeton's website and looked at their watercolor brush lineup, you'll realize that I jumped a bunch of other series on my way to Neptune, basically saying, "Later, Lauren. Snow Way, Siberia. Vamoose, Velvet Touch. And heck no, Heritage." So while there is a noticeable price jump from the snaps, it's not out of reach, especially since I started with the 4 brush set for, I think we paid 30 something for that. It came with the 3/4 inch square wash, the 1/2 inch oval wash, and the rounds in 12 and 4. That was a good purchase. With the sort of things I do, those sizes are useful. I've since added several more, sizes 8, 6, 2, and 0 in round, and their size 4 quill. The Neptunes use synthetic squirrel hair and are intended specifically for watercolors. Their handles have that dark stained wood look, making them the prettiest brushes in my collection. The only ones that come with the sea glass handles, though, are the flats in, I think, 4 sizes, from 1 inch to 1/4 inch. I guess squirrel hair is known for its thirstiness, and this synthetic version is definitely soaking it up. It doesn't, however, have the springiness of either the Snaps or the Aqua Elites, and while they have good tips, they can lack definition. I think that makes these better for loose painting styles rather than tight or detailed ones. This is the 1/2 inch oval wash. You could think of it as a flatter, more tapered round. The shape is sometimes called a cat's tongue, not to be mistaken for the Katzenzungen chocolates found at my local German specialty shop. They come in a box with a row of cute kittens on the front. It makes a range of marks depending on the angle, and the point is fine enough to give nice lines. The brush, that is, not the chocolate. Sorry, I was distracted by those fine nails. Not too short, not too long, in the lovely shade called As If. Yeah, that's the name, and that's how you have to say it. As If. I generally prefer when the names are a little more clever. This one's not even a play on words. There's zero reference to color of any sort. Those guys at Salon Perfect really need a painter in charge. Then we'd get the as-o-if that we deserve. Here we have the size 12 round, and it's at this point that a normal person might start to think, this person has too many brushes. Hey, a gal has to have her hobbies. Plus, it keeps me from leaving comments all over YouTube about how things would be done if I ran the zoo. And there's enough of that going on already. Speaking of zoos, our backyard critters survived the Seattle snow last week. Squirrels, rabbits, Steller's jays, and crows continue to roam the premises and provide cheap entertainment in exchange for nuts and grains, which I can sort of relate to. Flashback to a few minutes ago. The whole point about the nails earlier. I recently had an episode. Nothing major. I was simply engrossed in a book, and somehow, after 40 pages or so, those fine nails I was just now admiring were chopped down to the fingertips. Yeah, that's the price I paid for rereading Murder in Retrospect. It was worth it, though. So, sayonara, Salon Perfect, at least for the time being. I'm mostly joking. As a long-time nail biter, I may be more sensitive about it than others, and since it was bumming me out, it was very tempting to conscript producer Mike for hand-double duty. Imagine a couple of man hands paired with my songbirdie voice. Hopefully, my nail stumps will have grown out before we have to resort to that, because he won't let me put polish on him. Coincidentally, the main victim in Murder in Retrospect, also known under the alternative title Five Little Pigs, is a painter. But don't feel bad. He was a serial adulterer who kept his mistress/portrait subject in the home he shared with his wife and daughter. It's one of Agatha Christie's classic stories. But I have to say, the choice of murder weapon was uninspired. What would have been both original and poetic? Death by a 16-round Kolinsky. Here are the 2 and the 0 side by side. I do use these small detail brushes in my work, and actually, the project I used the most brushes on was probably the House of Scares. There was a lot going on there, from large washes to fine lettering. You can see that, although these don't have the finest points, they do rather well. If you have difficulty getting thin lines, keep practicing. I still get heavy-handed at times, usually due to wandering mind syndrome. These small rounds are good for detail work, but after trying a couple of riggers, which are also thin but longer, I'm thinking I may use those in place of some of these, especially if I want a less tight look. I consciously choose synthetic brushes. With as well as they perform, I don't feel a need to use genuine animal hair. Plus, synthetic is cheaper. It's possible I might feel differently if I produced art at a higher level, such as gallery pieces. But I paint mostly for my own enjoyment, so it's not even a hard choice for me. Finally, I get to show off my small assortment of Aqua Elites. A 1.5 inch modeler, a half-inch stroke, and a 3/8 inch dagger. Da Vinci's Quinacridone Burnt Orange is the featured color for this portion. So, yeah, nice thirst, though not as much as the Neptunes. But these being synthetic Kolinsky sable hairs, they are a little stiffer. They hold their shape better, and judging from what I've experienced with these specialty shapes, I expect the rounds have more precise points. I really like the dagger and want to use that in future projects. All three of these brushes have good release. I think that's the term. The paint lays down nicely and evenly. I'd recently had an issue while using the half-inch stroke, but I think but I think that was due to lower quality paper because I didn't have any problems here on this Fabriano Artistico. So eventually, I'd like to try a round or two from Aqua Elite and see if I might prefer those to the Neptunes. One more thing, these handles have a matte or satiny finish and give a tactile sensation that's different from the others. It's hard to describe, but it's nice. I like it. Check out that dagger. It's the 3/8 inch size. Going by appearances alone, that's the one that would sneak out after midnight to cause trouble on the streets, then get a tattoo to commemorate it. But it also makes fantastic marks from fine lines to tapered wedges. The other night, I watched a scary movie where a character painted a super creepy portrait of someone he'd seen in a dream. I get the idea of working it out that way as a sort of purging of one's psyche. But did he have to hang it on the wall so it could terrorize his wife in a later scene? Sheesh. Everyone knows things like that go into a box and get shoved into a closet down in the basement. Looking at these sheets now, my one overriding thought is 100% cotton paper for this? What was I thinking? Well, I was thinking it was only going to be like 3 sheets, not 5. I do have a few brushes from other brands, but my experience with them has been limited. And I wanted to keep this video from getting too long anyway. You don't even know how much brush handling footage was cut. So I decided to just focus on Princeton, since that makes up most of my collection. I'm happy to share this demonstration. I got acquainted with my newest toys, the Aqua Elites, also with those I hadn't used in a while. So, with this exercise, the differences were made a little clearer to me. Hopefully, this gives you an idea of what these brushes are like. These are just my opinions, but if you're beginning with watercolors, I suggest Princeton Snap for your first brushes. They're good quality, fun to use, and easy to control. If you like to paint loosely, I recommend the Neptunes. They hold plenty of water, and they look great too. The Aqua elites require further study, but I get the feeling they may become my next favorites. Until next time, take good care of your brushes and wait for it. Stay thirsty, my friends. You knew that was coming.